Hey, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex, and today I want to bring you my top 10 underrated games of 2020. Now, I already made a top 10 games of 2020 list, and it included games like Isle of Cats, Forgotten Waters, Aquatica. All of these games are great. I stand behind all the games on that list, but these games are also games that got a lot of attention and were on a lot of top 10 lists. So, you should check them out for a reason. I wanted to talk about games that maybe you didn't hear about as much. Games that were really great that came out in 2020 that didn't or aren't currently in the top 1,000 on BGG. This list also will not include games like Tidal Blades, Lost Ruins of Arnak, Fort, or The Crew. All of these are amazing games, and all of them might have made my top 10 lists of 2020 if I had played them in 2020, but I didn't play them until 2021. I'm sorry I didn't get to you guys early enough. I still love you, don't worry. But all of these games, these don't count as underrated games. These are very properly rated games. People love them. People talk about them. You're very popular. You don't need my help. People know you. People love you. You'll be okay. So that's why none of these will be on the list, because none of these are underrated. These are my top 10 underrated games of 2020, games that are really good and you should check out that maybe you didn't hear about. My number 10 underrated game of 2020 is Abandon All Artichokes. This is a light family weight deck building game. If you are looking for an introduction to deck building, this is a great place to start. It fits into the same world, the same category as like a Sushi Go or a Point Salad, where, it's easy to teach and plays pretty quickly, but it still has some strategy and some decisions. I also think owning this with Sushi Go and Point Salad is a fun thing, because then you can have an all food game night. You can only play food games on your game night. Eat whatever junk food you want because you picked healthy games. Also, I hate artichokes, and any game that encourages people to abandon them, I'm on board with. Number 9 on my list is Cosmic Colonies. This is a tile-laying game, but what sets it apart from other tile-laying games is there is no turn order. Instead, every card that you play has a number on it, and the lower the number, the earlier in turn order you will go. But the trick is, the better the card is for turn order, the worse special ability it has on it. So every round, every turn is a decision like, do I need to go early because I need that specific tile to fit onto my board, or do I want to just, go later and I can take any tile because I really want this special ability where I can buy something for cheaper, or I can buy 2 things or whatever. So I love that push and pull. I also love that this game has 2 modes to it. There is a basic mode and an advanced mode. I think, when I think about why is the game underrated, I think this game overall is lighter than people were expecting it to be, but that doesn't mean that it's bad. The basic version of this game can be played with anybody. I mean, you could play it with your mom who doesn't play any board games. I mean, unless your mom is the type of mom who's like, you're throwing away your life on board games. Maybe she wouldn't want to play it. But anybody else could totally play the basic version. And then there's also the advanced version that gives you a little bit more choices, a little bit more complexity, a little bit more strategy. So I think that there's something in here for a lot of different type of people, and it's great. Number 8 on my list is the game Quetzal. And I have absolutely no idea if I'm saying that correctly, so I'm sorry. But Quetzal is a worker placement set collection game. What makes it different than other worker placement games? 2 things. 1, some spots on the board require you to bid workers on it. So you could put down 2 workers. If somebody comes along, puts down 3 workers, well, you just got kicked off the spot. You don't get that benefit. The other thing that makes it different is at the start of every turn, you actually roll your meeples and they will land on the dark side or the light side, and various spots on the board require either dark side or light side workers. So if you roll all light side workers, well, you're not going to be able to go to any of those dark side spots this round. So hope you got something else figured out. that definitely adds an element of luck to the game, right? If you're someone that wants no luck in your game, then this probably isn't the right game for you. But I like it because it makes the game exciting. It makes it more interesting to me. You know, a worker placement game that's just worker placement, you know, can sometimes be a little dry, but you add in like dice rolling or meeple rolling or something else, it just elevates it and makes it now strategic and exciting. I hope I get what I want. Yay! It's all coming up great today. Number 7 on my list is the fully cooperative party game Cross Clues. Think of this almost like a cooperative version of Codenames. In Codenames, you have a grid and there's words at every single spot along the grid. But in Cross Clues, instead you have an X and a Y axis, and there are words along the axes, and you are trying to give a clue that gets people to the intersection of two different words. So for instance, if a word here was like green and a word here was like plate, then maybe I'd give the clue vegetable, hoping that people picked that spot. Oh, green plate, well, you know, vegetables are green. You put vegetables on a plate because you gotta eat your vegetables, kids. This is a great game for families, and I know that from experience because recently I went on a family vacation and I brought a bunch of different games, and my family did not want to play any of the other games I brought because they just wanted to play this one over and over and over and over again. You know, day 4 of the vacation, I was like, hey, you want to check out some of these other games? And they were like, no, we'll play Cross Clues for the 16th time. We love it. And I was like, 16 times? You want to play it for the 16th? And they were like, definitely. Get it to the table. Number 6 on my list of the best underrated games of 2020 is the game Holy. This game has some of the greatest table presence of any game you will ever see. The board is literally 3 levels, and it just makes me happy when I see it. Just looking at it on the table, I'm like, wow, board games are cool. Man, this is just joyful. You know, that's how I feel every time I see the 3 levels. If it was 4 levels, I'd be like, come on, this is overwhelming. But 3 levels is perfect. This definitely has some take that in the game, so if you're not a fan of confrontation, then maybe it won't be for you. But in the game, you are putting out sort of Tetris-y style pieces and then getting to throw your color pieces around the different levels based on the Tetris style card that you just played. And you can move up in levels and score higher the higher you get, and you're throwing colors around and throwing them on other people, and it's just a lot of fun. And like I said, the table presence, this is a game that anybody's gonna see and go, ooh, that looks interesting. Number 5 on my list is the great game Raiders of Scythia. This is the only game on this list that breaks the top 1,000 on Board Game Geek, but I think it still qualifies as an underrated game because it got way less attention than Garphill's other 2020 release, Viscounts of the West Kingdom. Viscounts was the one that was on a ton of top 10 lists, a ton of best games at the end of the year list, that sort of thing. And that game's great and deserves a lot of attention. But this game is great too, and I think deserves its own attention. I don't want it to fall into the shadows of Viscounts as much. This is a worker placement game that mixes in dice rolling so it stays exciting, which you know I really like. And it has the fun mechanic of place a worker, pick up a worker from a different spot. So there's a lot of thinking and a lot of strategy that goes along with it. I know a lot of people say that this is a fairly similar to Raiders of the North Sea with expansions, and I can't speak to that because I've never played that game, but I can speak to this is still a fine jumping off point into Garphill's series. You don't have to have played those other games to play and appreciate this game. This is a great game all on its own, and I think it's worth checking out. Number 4 on this list is Santa Monica. I love the theme of this game. This is a tableau building game where you are just trying to build the best beachfront in Santa Monica. And boy, what a refreshing theme is that. You know, we all play so many games that are fantasy themed or medieval themed or dark noir themed. This is just a game about chilling on the beach, and that's fun. Everybody loves the beach. That's why you gotta pay so much in rent to live in Santa Monica. It's ungodly. But, you know, in this game, you're just like, hey, you wanna play some beach volleyball? Hey, you wanna go to a food truck? Hey, you wanna hang out? Let's just hang out. We're gonna hang out. We don't even have to talk, you know, just enjoy the sunshine. I don't know what I'm doing with my arms here, but I went with it and I'm sticking to it. Number 3 is Moonrakers. This is a deck building negotiation game. So like most deck builders, you all start with the same weak hand and you're buying cards to make your deck better. The deck building is solid but unspectacular in this game. But where it becomes super fun is the negotiation. Everybody is playing as mercenaries and you are trying to fulfill contracts, but many of the contracts are too difficult for one person to do alone, so you have to wheel and deal with other people sitting at the table. If you want to help me with this contract, I'll give you a point. I'll give you a coin. You can make any deals you want, and it's so much fun to try to, backstab and help and just all the intrigue that goes into that. If you have a social group, a group that likes to talk and plays games to be social, this is a great game for you because there is just a ton of talking and negotiating all the time. It definitely works best at a higher player count. Like I prefer it at 4 or 5 people because then there's just so many different options. Oh, you're going to ally with him, but then you're going to break your alliance and you're going to come over to me because I'm the best. And, you know, it's just super fun, all that sort of stuff. You can obviously tell I'm very excited about this game. So if you're a social gamer like I am, then check out this game. Number 2 on the list is Mechanica. I love this game for a couple of reasons. One, they use the box in the game, which I always appreciate that production design because so many times I'm just throwing a box on the ground, but you tell me I get to use it as part of the game? Wow, welcome to the table, box! In the game, the box becomes this sort of lazy Susan system where you're putting puzzle pieces down in a slot and it's rotating around and becoming cheaper as the rounds go on, but eventually it will fall through a hole and get recycled out of the game, never to be seen again. The reason you're buying those puzzle pieces is you are creating an assembly line engine. The theme of the game is you are trying to build robots to take over the world. And I love that theme already. It's very funny to me. And you know what? The robot revolution is coming at some point or another, so we might as well play games about it. This is how we prepare, people. But this game is very puzzly and interesting because you're buying those different puzzle pieces and creating this assembly line, and it can go in all different directions where you're like, okay, I'm producing a robot here and I split that robot here and then it comes over here and I'm putting it in this truck and then this robot's coming and jumping over this obstacle, and I don't know, it's just very puzzly and fun. And my number 1 best underrated game of 2020 is Monstrosity. This is honestly challenging Telestrations as my favorite drawing game out there. And I should preface it by saying, I'm a terrible drawer. Like awful, doesn't get any better than stick figures, and yet I still like this game a lot. So you do not have to be good at drawing to enjoy this game. In the game, one person has witnessed a crime done by a monster like this. And you have 20 seconds to look at a drawing of a monster and memorize it as best you can. Every other player is playing as a police sketch artist, and after 20 seconds, the witness has to set the card aside and then describe the monster from memory to everybody else who is going to try to draw it, and it leads to some hilarious and memorable moments where everything gets flipped up and the witness is like, what? That's what you drew? And the other person is like, what? That's That's what you described. And it's just super fun and funny. And another game, if you have a social group, this is a wonderful game for a group of social gamers. And that's it. Those are my best underrated games of 2020. I think all of those games are worth checking out. I love all of them. They're all very fun. And, you probably have some other games that you think are underrated from 2020. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to check out some of those too. All the games deserve some love, and I love playing games, and I hope you do too. So have fun playing games out there.